Welcome to UNCAGED, the show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping a path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Maxime Taieb. Maxime, how are you?
Great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited to learn more about what you're working on, Maxime. Maxime is the founder and CEO of Trailblazers Consulting. Trailblazers Consulting is a company that focuses on omnichannel retail and marketplace strategy and rollout. They draw upon over 20 years of experience and collaboration with large leading retail groups and brands such as LVMH, Carrefour, Fnac, Dixon's, Carphone, you name it. And they're working with them really on the evolution of those businesses into an omni-channel, and I suppose we could say still maybe a digital world. Maxime, thanks so much for being on UNCAGED today. And to start things off, let's just kind of talk about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Well, I've been working in digital now for over 20 years. Hence, the white beard. And since the very beginning, I've always been specialized in retail and how the digital assets can enhance and accelerate retail activities. And as you said, I've worked within or with many large groups in retail group in Europe. And so you name them LVMH, Carrefour, Fnac, etc. And every time to develop their activities for B2B and B2C, and in many different market sectors. I've probably sold anything that can be sold online, from diamonds to mobile contract to metal tube for plumber, everything. And every time there's three main pillars in the work. One is regarding to the evolution of commerce, so helping a retailer to use digital to enhance their commerce capabilities through e-commerce marketplaces, but also a very important point, that is the physical store digitization and how we can improve the performance of the physical world with digital, and at the same time the physical world enhance the e-commerce. The second pillar is the communication, digital communication, where digital give us a great asset to be able to target the way we talk to our customers or to our prospect, and very important to actually measure very precisely the efficiency of what we of how we talk to them based on the customer and the data that you can aggregate. And the final point is the technology, because when you talk about digital, you always have in mind somewhere the technology, which is not the only thing, but it's there. And it's because I'm specialized in retail, is to make sure we provide, or we find, or we implement the right technology for a retailer. Not that many retailer can invest tens of millions of euros on technology. Most of the time, you need to find the right investment, the right partners, the right technology, because, and that's something that I always say to my customers, to my clients, is that if you as a retailer, you think and you pretend you're very strong, that you are one of the best retailer, you need to have the same understanding that they are people who are the best in technology. So go and work with them instead of thinking you can get yourself to become a great in technology. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, what an interesting time, Maxime, to work in the retail space, because not only do we have kind of the digital transformation for retailers happening, but we have, in many respects, kind of like this idea of everything moving, all commerce in some form or fashion, really moving online. And so it's kind of balancing that retail experience going shopping with the digital. And you've just articulated it perfectly on all the challenges. I mean, in the world of Trailblazers Consulting, when you guys go out to the market, what are some of the key issues that you're seeing customers are wrestling with right now?
Customers, the main thing I would say that the customers that you and I are, is that we are definitely omni-channel, cross-channel, every channel, whatever the name that you say, it's a fact. You always have your phone in your hand. You always you may be like maybe not Instagram addict, but I mean you have it. You go on Facebook, you receive email. I mean that's the way we are today, and there are very few retailers who actually have that in mind and who have been able to catch up with our expectation as consumers. Makes sense because we move quite fast as consumers, but it's been quite a long time since you had major innovations in retail, such as, of course, the invention or the huge explosion of the e-commerce that came with Amazon, with the marketplaces and so like that. And before that, you had maybe the hypermarkets in the 60s, this kind of thing where the retailer say, okay, we are going to have a leap forward and be ahead of our customers. Now, most of the retailers, and I consider myself as a retailer, we are behind the expectation of our customers. So we know we are rushing to get them. So that creates kind of a frustration for our customers. And because the world is huge, you can be sure that whatever you don't do for your customers, there's someone somewhere who will actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
That's the big struggle that we have.
Yeah, I mean, some, let's say, digital brands that have moved aggressively into retail, I find that always interesting. Companies like the US brand Warby Parker, I don't know if you're familiar with them,
of course.
Where they went from kind of almost like a model where they would send out, several pairs of glasses, right? And then now really the core business is retail. And it's about building exactly what you outlined, which is that kind of omni-channel experience and managing all the data. And data, I think, is one of those things where retailers have had a ton of data for a long, long time. But man, I mean, are you working with them on what to do with all that information to make it meaningful?
Of course. And I would say that most of the time, the first things I work on is to actually get less data, but having the right data, because it's you can do to gather like an Everest of data and you don't know what to do with it. Most of the time, you can get, 5-10 information on you, man, as a customer, and I will be able to act on that. And that will be enough for me for the first step to know how to be more accurate in the way I communicate, in the way I will communicate to you or to the people who look like you. And then when I will have reached, my cruise speed on the usage of these 10 data, then I move to the other ones.
Right. Yeah, completely makes sense. And it's always funny to say that, but in some ways, it's not about the amount of data. It's about getting the kind of the stuff that really, really matters, right? That can actually change things. But I mean, obviously, the pandemic changed a lot of stuff for all of us. And I mean, really ground the retail marketplace, I imagine, in many respects, to a halt for a period of time. And I see, Trailblazers was a company that you launched at the heart of the pandemic. Tell me a little bit about the journey that you went on over the pandemic and really starting Trailblazers and where has it taken you?
Well, it's been both a terrible and amazing time, so it's quite strange. But for people like me, who've been working for decades in the digital world, I mean, in those past 2 years, it has been such a huge leap forward in the handling of technology. I mean, an interview 3 years ago was kind of edgy, to have that. And now, before talking to you, I've done 5 or 6 different, conference and visual conference. So it's amazing how all these things that we were struggling to make people trust and say, no, don't worry, you can do that. It's possible. It's easy. Go ahead, try it on. That we did it. And during the pandemic, when the store were closed, you've seen people who were, actually reluctant to pay online because maybe somebody can steal your credit card number. Right. Being totally comfortable with giving them, on the phone to somebody, say, okay, yeah, I give you my credit card number. So it created this, or just receiving an SMS, a text message, okay, click on this link and then you can put your credit card number. So it was great to have this leap forward. And I said earlier that we were retailers. As a retailer, we are behind the expectation of our customers. And in this particular time, customers, they went even faster than that. Right. So it's what's one of the things that is really thrilling in launching this activity at Trailblazers is just to help retailers very pragmatically, to say, okay, this is where you are today. This is where your customers are, but you will not be able to go from where you are to where they are overnight because you don't have the money, because you are a retailer, so you can't, invest 10 million euros and hoping that maybe in 3 years from now you will have an activity that can generate some turnover. It's not the way you work as a retailer, Right. So it's working with them as a retailer and say, okay, this is the investment we need to do. This is how okay, this is a huge, fundamental digital transformation process that will take us 24 months. That's the way it is. Don't work. There's no way you can do it faster. Whoever tell you that you will be able to do it in 6 months, don't trust them. It's not working. It takes 24 months. That's a fact. Yeah. But okay, what do we do at the same time that we lead this endeavor of 24 months? Because you are a retailer and you can't wait for 24 months to get some ROI. And that's, very interesting to build this with retailers, because it kind of showing them that, okay, you can go in this deep transformation that sometimes can seems like kind of strange or kind of, for instance, when I work at Carrefour in the food retail, doing e-commerce in the food business, it's madness because you will never be profitable. Or in very rare cases, you can be profitable. So you need to understand how you can leverage these digital activities to actually make your business better. And to do so, you need to really walk in the shoes of the retailer. And that's what I really love in Trailblazers, because that's the only thing I do. It's being a retailer who's talking to a retailer.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. You're absolutely changing the broader commercial model at the same time, right? So because they're going to have to think about things like, well, yes, we sell avocados, we sell cantaloupes, etc. But the reality is that if they're not profitable, how are they going to kind of build a model where they can actually leverage on that audience, right? It's a fascinating challenge, and certainly one where we're going to see continued evolution over the next couple of years. But I mean, right on the immediate horizon, Maxime, when you look out and you say what the next 6 to 18 months looks like, I mean, we're living again in a very interesting moment with lovely topics like inflation, being on the lips of every CEO around the world. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what the next 6 to 18 months looks like in your space.
Wow, 18 months, it's like forever.
It's like a lifetime now.
I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 months. Well, it's main thing. Honestly, there's this momentum that has been taken towards connected commerce, or I don't know the name that you can say that. Okay, we know that we need to be able to address our customers in every channel, that they will wait for us, and we need to be there, and we need to find ways to be there without massive investment, etc. So that's a fact today. But at the same time, you have these constraints and contraction of the business, like you said, inflation and product that are scarcity on the product. Now, if you want to buy a fridge, you may have to wait 3 months to get your fridge, unless you take the one that is actually in the shelves of the store. Right. So that's a fact. So the big challenge for the companies and for the digital guys in companies is to make sure we keep those investments being important for companies and being planned, I would say. But the evolution of the consumption, it's unfortunately, if we look at the dark side of things, when we were in the pandemic, so after the pandemic, we say, okay, the world has changed. We are looking for meaning. And we'll stop consuming, and etc. And things will change, etc. I mean, nowadays it's a situation of crisis, and every time you turn on the TV or the radio, you have many bad news every day, every minute. Yeah. So people go back, to those way of being, of looking for those lower prices, looking for that. It makes sense. It's completely natural. So we will go to the channels that get you the best deal. Right. So if it's internet, it will be internet, And if it's getting some products shipped to you from China, and it costs you 30% less, you will get them to China. But
yeah,
it's not a big deal, because the way we work and the way the world works. But
it's so funny, because I think that when the pandemic was starting to come to an end and I was trying to actually make some purchases that I hadn't made in a while, like purchasing of a new car, it was incredible how hard it was to purchase a new car. Like there were no cars. So you have kind of this interesting balance where there is less, in some ways, less commodity choice, less choice of goods, whilst also there's this kind of pressure that we have from kind of keeping costs low because of the digitization of everything and the fact that we can kind of look at competition from anywhere, everywhere, all the time, right? And kind of balancing all of those elements out. It's going to be an incredible couple of years as retail really embraces this change. I think you nailed it up front, Maxime, where you were talking about how during the pandemic, people opened themselves up to this change, really. So like anybody that was not thinking of these changes suddenly said, no, we have to move these forward. And that's a great opportunity for you. And it's certainly a reason why they need Trailblazers Consulting. Maxime, if somebody wanted to learn more about what you and your team are working on, where is the best place to find you?
It will be, because I'm a very bad for myself, so I don't have a website yet. So it will be on LinkedIn. You will get more information on me and my company, or contact me through LinkedIn directly. It would be great to meet everyone who can be interested.
Excellent. Well, listen, Maxime, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today. We've been speaking with Maxime Taieb. He's been telling us about Trailblazers Consulting, which is a consultancy focused on omnichannel retail and marketplace strategy and rollout. And we've been talking about the rapid change in the retail sector. What a dynamic sector, a sector full of data, digital and omni-channel demand, and one that's really evolving very, very quickly. And so I imagine, Maxime, you're a man in high demand right now. Thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.